Howdy, my name is Ed Dowling. I'm making the companion DVD to my book, Understanding Open Tunings, a basic manual. I've been playing in open tunings extensively for 40 years. I saw a man named Tom Rush at a little club outside Fort Bragg in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And he was doing things with a telephone jack on his little finger, making train sounds, and he played a couple other songs in a different style. At the one of his breaks, there wasn't too many places to go. People would just go out on the sidewalk in front of the place, and he was out there, and I asked him what he was doing to the guitar, and he says, "I'm playing an open E." What do you mean? He says, "Well, instead of making an E chord, I'm with my fingers, I wind the 3 strings up so that they're already an E chord when I'm just playing it without touching it." And I was just learning how to play the guitar, and I knew how to make an E chord, so I went back to the barracks, being in the Army at the time, and put my guitar into open E to his instructions. And I've been playing it that way for 40 years. I've branched out into other areas. I'm self-taught, and basically what I was given is the idea that you can play the guitar in an open tuning. I got out of the Army and discovered a man named John Fahey. I discovered the recordings of John Fahey, and they've basically given my wanting to play the guitar its direction for the next 30 years or so. I find John Fahey to be the master of the steel string guitar. I would say he is the best composer for guitar that's ever lived. If you get a chance, listen to his first recordings, volumes 1 through 6 on the Tacoma record label, I believe. They're landmark recordings. There are lots of aspects of playing the guitar in open tunings and other instruments in open tunings. I'm going to grab a couple of different instruments that I now play as a result of staying in open tunings. They're going to include the mandolin in the bluegrass mode, the guitar in the bluegrass mode, slide guitar, dobro, finger-picking guitar, blues guitar, rhythm guitar, I think I mentioned 5-string banjo, the dobro, and an instrument that I've kind of invented on my own called the Git Joe. It's a guitar strung like a banjo. All right, various styles of guitar and other instruments using open E, and some of the aspects of their impact already in the world. The Everly Brothers' Wake Up Little Susie is he was playing that in an open G. His dad, I guess somebody taught him enough. Anyway, that's an aspect of open tunings. Delta blues, you'll find they're played in open E quite a lot, or open A. Hawaiian music, the lap steel guitar, Hawaiian guitar, the 5-string banjo. Fiddle, country, and bluegrass fiddles are sometimes tuned to an open chord, open D. It'll be GD, GD. The lap steel guitar, if you listen to the Hank Williams recordings, all of Hank Williams' hit recordings, what you think is a pedal steel is simply 6 strings on like a 2x4 that sits on a guy's lap. He was a master lap steel guitar player. I don't know his name. The dobro is really coming on strong. A guy named Jerry Douglas has set the bar for dobro higher than almost anyone will ever be able to attain. He's changed the face of dobro. Again, the recordings of John Fahey. If you want to hear some other like traditional blues, a guy named Elmore James, king of the slide guitar, plays very traditional, kind of not sophisticated blues. A lot of Muddy Waters recordings, and on and on. Here's a little bit of the guitar tuned in open E. If John Lee Hooker was singing the Big Road Blues. How. Lying ain't going down that big lonesome road all by myself. You know I ain't going down that big lonesome road. That's rhythm. Rhythm in open E. Open E is just a real great tuning for blues. Finger picking. I did some finger picking in the beginning. I'm going to put this down and pick up a few others. I think I'll go with the mandolin next, just because I was playing it last night for the first time in months. This is a bluegrass kind of mandolin. This mandolin is tuned to open G. If you look at my fingers eventually, you'll see this pattern repeated. This is actually the D chord in open E, but I'm missing this string over here. The bluegrass boom chuck, this is the chuck part. Bluegrass mandolin, you don't have to tune the thing. Trying to play the mandolin the way it's tuned concert is pretty much a lifelong endeavor. Chords are almost impossible. You can hear this mandolin on some recordings that I have for sale. The Innocent Bystander's Greatest Hits, volumes 1 through 5. I'm playing it about half the time. It's also on my CD called Reliable Transportation. I'm going to put this down and try another instrument here. Okay. Well, this is a dobro guitar. The story of the dobro is a saga in itself. I've tuned it to open E. It is not tuned to the traditional dobro tuning, which it disorients me a little bit. At least what you learn in the book will be directly applicable to this. If you want to learn dobro, chase that guy Jerry Douglas. Okay, some of the capabilities of open tunings in dobro here. I'm going to do a little more. That lends itself to country very easily. First time I met the blues, I was walking through the woods late at night. Elmore James, he's an interesting guy to listen to. That's a couple aspects of slide guitar, or dobro in this case, depending on how you want to tune it. I think I'll pick something else up that uses open tunings, or can anyway. Well, banjo, bluegrass banjo is in open G, so there ain't... Banjo, open tunings. This is a little niche of open tunings. I played bluegrass for 15 or 20 years, alternating between the mandolin and the guitar, depending on the other guy who alternated between the guitar and the violin. Again, you can hear this on the other half of the recordings of the Innocent Bystanders Greatest Hits, Volumes 1 through 4, and also on Reliable Transportation, and Ed Dowling and the Moments live at the Spirit Room. All the CDs are available from me. If you'll notice, this is really a beautiful guitar. This is the fourth of the experimental guitars that I'm making. This is the M19 Attack guitar. No, this is the model B3. I call it the B3 because it has about the range of a B3 organ. Anyway, I'm using it to demonstrate a little bluegrass style rhythm guitar primarily, and the infamous boom chick. I haven't done this in a while. Anyway, open E tuning lends itself to bluegrass just so nicely. Both rhythm and flat picking, you will be restrained a little bit in your ability to do flat picking like the regular guys, because some of the strings have different modal lengths. That's enough of this little guitar. Well, we'll start doing lessons here. One of the things that I'm going to be stressing is the idea of keeping track and trying to understand what goes on, instead of simply learning that this is an A chord and this is a B chord. One of the things that I'm hoping to communicate is that it's about relationships. It's the relationships of these strings that produce chords. Chords are directly related to harmony. We like harmonious things. A nice major chord has a certain set of relationships between the notes that make it up. Minor chord will have a slightly different set of relationships, but they're fairly easy to understand. Also, the relationships of chords to notes, and notes to the fretboard, or chords to the fretboard, which is where we're trying to get to. Again, I want to stress that you don't need to know very much about music theory at all it's nice to know about keeping time and 3/4 time as a waltz. But again, there are no black and white frets or areas on the fretboard here. There are no good and bad notes. Every note is as important as the other note. What we call major chords are made up of notes that do have a very noticeable, good sounding relationship when you play them together. Let's look at the fretboard here, and there are certain things, if you know, will really help you, and that you're almost going to have to memorize. We're going to tune these strings to certain notes. In open E, we're going to tune them to E, B, E, G sharp, B, and E. Now, if you play the guitar regular and you make an E chord, you can see that we've actually kind of taken the A string and wound it up 2 frets to make a B, E, B. And the D string is up 2 frets, D to E, we're making an E note without having to fret it. And the G only goes up 1, so it's a G sharp now. I'm choosing open E to use for these examples because the guitar normally tuned has an E string. It has a high and a low E string. They're 2 octaves apart. And if you learn the names of the notes that you make, when you push down on this E string, it will serve you well for the rest of your guitar playing career. The scale theoretically will start in C. Why it doesn't start in A, I don't know. Most things start A, B, C. I believe like a piano, high C is the center of everything. So the scale goes C, D, E, F, G, A, B. C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Once you hit the C, you're at an octave. Now, we're playing a guitar in open E. That's going to be called the root note, the root chord. This is an E note. So let's learn the names of these notes. B, E, F. We're going to skip a fret and go to the 3rd fret, which is G. Skip a fret and go to the 5th fret, which is A. Skip 1 fret and go to the 7th fret, which is B. Now we go right to the 8th fret as C. We're going to go to the 10th fret for D and up to the 12th fret, which is the octave for E again. The notes of the major scale, let's say the scale of C, D, E, F, and G, have these spaces. Like between E and F, there's no space. But between F and G, there's a space. And then between G and A, there's a space. But between B and C, there's no space again. It's interesting to go out on the internet and look at the evolution of music theory. It started with a guy named Pythagoras. And he actually was the pioneer who set this up, and they determined that these notes are the ones that sound good together. Da, 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 A, B, C, D, F, G. But they were smart enough to know that these gaps existed. And they'd already named the notes basically by that time, so they said, well, it's not an A, it's not a G, it's not an A, it's a G sharp, because it's on the way to A. No, it's an A flat, because it's back down going to G. This is the beginning of the confusion of contemporary music theory as it's evolved over a long time. You're simply going to have to deal with it and memorize the notes on this E string are E, F, the 3rd fret is G, the 5th fret is A, the 7th fret is B, the 8th fret is C, and the 10th fret is D. Now the 12th fret is E. The ones in between are sharps or flats. A D sharp is an E flat. A G sharp is an A flat. We don't have to do much more of this. There are only 11 notes in the entire scheme of things. When you hit the 12th note, it's an octave higher of the root note you started. So in reality, in the entire reality of music as we know it with a fretboard, there are only 11 notes, and they're octave increments up. The guitar and all other instruments these days are made with what's called the tempered scale. The real scale is slightly flat, and the tuning problems that you have are impossible to totally overcome. You encounter them much more in a regular tuning. Open tunings really help in moderating this phenomena of being able to play, being unable to play all chords and notes perfectly. The tempered scale, again, go out on the internet and research it and take it all the way back to Pythagoras. It's a wonderful story. We're going to stop now and get back into making use of the notes that we learned on this E string and what fret we're on. It's a jumping little record I want my jockey to play. Roll it over Beethoven, gonna hit it again today. We're gonna do bar chords. This is the first functional lesson of learning open E or other open tunings. We learned the name of the note just a minute ago, produced when we push down on the E string. Well, we're making an E chord. The name of the chord is going to be the same as the name of the note. So if I want to play an A chord, if I remember which note was the A note, it happens to be the 5th fret up, I can press down on all the strings and make an A chord, and that is an A chord, solid A chord, exactly the same as E. Same relationships, they're up 5 frets. Now these are different than when you see a guy playing their chords all up here. This is the first lesson. B chord here. G chord here. D chord, I believe was there. That's called the bar chord. And the bar chord is used in the playing guitar in the regular tuning by, the bar chord becomes really this thing back here. If we make other chords with all the strings open, they're called the chords of the first position. Here's the A chord of the first position. La, la, la. It's the same, it produces the same overall combination of notes making the chord A as this. La, 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 la. You have a thing that is kind of like 0, and then you have chords that you can make up here by pressing down the strings. Now, with the bar chord, we can make very similar sounding chords by doing this. What we can also do is now figure that this is the 0 point again. So, whatever chord I made here, whatever that change was, I can make a new 0 point. If I have a progression that goes E, A, B, and the first part is E, and the second part is A, here's my A, I'm playing out of the A chord, I can add this on. This becomes the same as what this thing back here is called the nut. This is the 0 fret. This is 0 in the progression from 0 up to 12, which is the octave. Now rock and roll is E, A, B. Let's finish it up, doing the same thing. So the first thing the bar chord does is it lets us, if we need to play a major chord and we don't know a chord of the first or second position or any other position, chords of the second position are actually illegal in the state of Arizona, but we're trying to change that. We can always play the major chord if we know the name of the note that the E string produces. So I want a G sharp. I want a B flat. I want a full B. I want a C. I want a C sharp, D. The next thing it does is for any chord that we learn up here, if we can manage to somehow reproduce it by taking our finger and making this nut movable, it opens up lots of different worlds. I want to mention this before we move on. I'm referring to true open chords, and leaving out lots of variants of chords. I'm defining open tunings in a fairly narrow window to help with the understanding of them. We've explained open E being generated because if you take a regular guitar, I'm actually winding the strings up to make the same open E chord. There's another open tuning that I like called open A. And you tune the guitar regular and then wind up the very strings that you'd fret to make the A chord. This stretches some of them a little further than normal. The G string, for example, can get a little unhappy. But it makes a true major chord. It has, as in open E, the scale is there, plus there's a bottom, there's a bass, the root note, and a treble note. Open A does the same thing. I call these true open tunings, and it's not to denigrate any other tunings. There are taro patch tunings and slack key tunings, and to some degree, if guitar strings are hard to get, you might not want to wind them up. You might slack these notes all down to E, or down to D from E, to save wear and tear on your guitar strings if you're living in an island in the middle of the Pacific. Also, you can take the open A tuning and wind it down 2 frets, 1 whole note, and now you're playing an open G. This is not the open G of dobro. I'm dealing with these 4 tunings. Open E, open D, and they're the same except open D is 2 frets lower or 1 whole note, open A and open G. You can make a minor open tuning by simply taking the third, or in open E, the G string, and flatting it once. But in general, I'm going to stick to these because I want to show eventually that the chord you make in an open E tuning that takes you up 10 frets will be exactly the same fingering in open A. You've just moved it towards the treble strings once, and the same for open D to open G. And you'll see also that if you watch a banjo player, he's going to make the same chords as a person will playing the guitar in open A or open G. So let's get into the chords of the first position. In the lesson previously, we learned that an A chord basically is a combination of notes that when you put them together combines to make this full round note of A. We call it an A chord. The A note is this note. That wouldn't be much fun if you could make a full A chord. It has a lot more width and breadth to it than, that's why we play in the guitar. The guitar is very flexible in its ability to make chords or change the relationships of notes or strings to each other. Using the bar chord can get to be pretty repetitious and bother your finger. Normally, as with a regular guitar, you can make a lot of chords by using the 6 strings in what you call the open position with no fingerings and manipulating only certain ones. The first one we'll learn is A in the key of E, or in open E. The A chord is the index finger on the 3rd string 1st fret, the middle finger on the 5th string 2nd fret, and you can also add your ring finger on the 2nd string 2nd fret. La, 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 la. If you're lazy, or in some cases, you might leave out your ring finger and just play it with these 2. It's very easy to do. This is one of the joys of playing in open E. Now we know that the chord that we're playing is A. It's making the equivalent of the note A. And what I want to stress here right off the bat, and one of the aspects of what I'm teaching is we just learned that the chord A, or this fingering position, gives you a chord equivalent of 5 steps or 5 frets up. In other words, if I want to make a chord that's 5 steps higher or so many notes higher, you can work it out what they are. E to A, B, C, D, you go E, F, G, A. That would be 3 full notes. That get into that scale thing. I can do it this way, or I can do it this way. What I've learned is that this chord gives me a relationship of up 5 from the true E, up 5, A, E chord, up 5, A chord. Now, we're going to learn the next chord of the first position. I'm going to choose this chord for a number of reasons. In open E, it's called the D chord, and I'm going to make it fully. You can look at the chord charts. The chord charts are rather self-explanatory. I is index, M is middle, R is ring, and P is pinky. I'm making the F chord from the book. You're going to have to learn how to read the charts so we can start there. Now, this is the D chord. Excuse me, it's not the F chord. This is the D chord because I'm playing an open E. I have to transpose constantly because I play the banjo and other instruments and other keys. This makes a D chord. Let's find the D note. We know this is A, this is B, this is C, this is C sharp, this is D. This is the chord D. Da da da. You can hear they're the same. La da da da. La 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 la. Now notice, again, in addition to trying to teach simply the chords of the first position in this lesson, what I'm really teaching you here is that the D chord, this fingering, takes you 10 steps higher than the name of the open tuning you're in, than the root note, than this 0 fret. Now, just to try to cap this one part and move on to other chords of the first position, what I'm trying to communicate here is we know that this takes you up 5. That's an A. We know this takes you up 10. It's a D. Let's think of another way to make a D chord. Let's go up 5. Now we know this takes you up 5. Now we're at 10. That should be a D chord. La, 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 la. It's a D chord. A D is up 10, a C is up 5, and E is 0. Now let's just go back to the chords of the first position. These are all laid out in the chord charts and in the first parts of the lesson. We've learned the A chord and the D chord. The other major chord that's used all the time is the B chord. Now this chord can be played this way, but you won't play the bottom string. You can, but it's a little off. So I fret that bottom string Richie Havens style, who also plays in open tunings, mostly open D, with my thumb. It's a great chord. It's same old tune, fiddle and guitar. Where do we take it from here? Rhinestone. Anyway, it's a great chord. Now while we're here, I'm going to show you the ultimate blues chord. You'll put your little pinky on that second string, 3rd fret. You can bend them. So we've learned the A, the D, and the B. Another chord that we're going to use all the time is called F sharp minor. It's really an F sharp. Here's an E, here's an F, here's an F sharp. This is an important part of what I'm teaching right now. Here's an F sharp, or it's a major chord. To make an F sharp minor, we're going to take one string. It's a special string, not any string, but only one string in this set of relationships. And we're going to make it flat by one note. We're in a new environment. It's a scary environment. Here's the full F sharp. Here's the F sharp minor. we've taken this one string, which I will refer to right now as the melody string. I believe it's called the third. It is flattened by 1 fret. How you relate to music theory, if it's not a full note in some cases. I don't know how they do it. Anyway, let's say I want to make an A minor, and I don't know anything except what I've learned so far. Well, I know this is an A chord. Why do I do this? I got an A minor. I want a B minor. I want a C minor. C sharp minor. D minor. E minor. This will take us in a while to another set of lessons called chord forms, and they'll be coming up here. So let's pause right here and go on to the next lesson. Dreamed I went away on a steam-powered airplane. I went away, stayed, and a damn dear didn't come back again. I never felt so high now on a steam-powered aeroplane. The wheels went down and round, they came right back again. Sitting in a 747, just watching those clouds roll by. I can't tell if it's sunshine or it's rain. Well, I'd rather be sitting in a deck chair down in Clarkdale, Arizona. A real live, genuine, authentic steam-powered aeroplane. So, chord forms. We took this from the previous lesson. This is the F sharp minor. And that's a John Hartford tune. John left the planet this year. He left a sleeping bag rolled up and stashed behind your couch. He wrote that song, Gentle on My Mind. He wrote the Steam-Powered Airplane song and a number of others. Anyway, in that song, in the bridge, sitting in a 747, we're going to go from F sharp minor to G sharp minor, and then A, B, E. That's a use of what I call these chord forms. The major chord form, again, being that D chord form, and the minor chord primarily being this one, which we used for the F sharp minor, G sharp minor, C minor, A minor, B minor, C minor, and the D minor. There's another chord form. You'll see it in your book. Right now, I can't tell you what this one is, but look it up in the book. I play so many instruments in so many different tunings. This is the other alternate chord form. If we were going to play minor swing, we'd start in the B minor. Whatever, this is the other minor form. And if I had to, after a while, I could tell you what it was. I believe it's going to be, this is E minor. Oh, I think that could be G minor. Anyway, the chord forms, as we've already shown, here's a really good example of using chord forms. Here's the D chord. Here's another E chord. Here's another A chord. D chord. These are not chords of the first position. These are chords you'll learn later on, but they come from these chords. Once you learn the chord of the first position and what you do when you go up a certain amount of frets, you'll know the names of these chords as you move up. This one here, I started the whole DVD with this. One of the interesting parts of playing the guitar in open tunings is that you find that you can play almost all the time, all 6 strings. The tuning of a regular guitar is such that there are many cases where they tell you, well, don't play that string, make the chord, but don't play that string. You will not find that in what I teach. There are a few chords of the first position where it's nice to either not play this string or fret it with your thumb or something similar. Otherwise, as I said earlier, the tuning itself makes an environment, and for some reason, even chords that would normally be dissonant are held together by these open strings that are on either side of these chord forms. Believe it or not, that can be a nice chord. Even though it's dissonant, it's that minor chord form. This is G minor. Again, even though these are primarily dissonant chords, they sound good in the open E tuning no matter where you play. It adds drama. And the same true for the major chords. Again, these chord forms will be of even further use when we try to play out of a chord form to play lead. Playing out of the form. Once I learn to play lead or a certain riff out of a chord form, I can now move it up and down the neck as the chord progression changes and play a similar riff. This will wind up a little segment, and we're going to go on to techniques that you'll use after you've learned the chords of the first position. So, in our progression of learning how to play the guitar or possibly other instruments in open tunings in general, first thing we learned is the bar chords to produce the major chords, including the sharps and flats, by relating to at least one string and knowing what the notes are. If that string is the name of the open chord, you got it made. The next thing is the chords of the first position. You have to learn the chords of the first position that you at least want to use in any particular song and know how to make them rapidly and reliably. One of the lessons in the manual was to go from the C to the D to the A to the D to the A to the E, the A to the D to A to E. The fingerings that I show usually indicate or have been worked out because it's easy to get from this fingering to this fingering with moving the shortest distances and the fewest fingers. It's something you might want to plan. You might want to form a certain chord in a certain way depending on what the other ones are that you have to go to or from. Again, learn how to make them. There aren't that many chords that you're going to learn that you have to learn in the first position. So we've learned the bar chords. We'll get you any major chord in case you don't know the ones of the first position. Now we've got chords of the first position. Now we also have some basic styles. We've got stuff happening here, how we have to extract some sound from the box here. We do that by strumming. That's the most basic technique. You can use a flat pick. You can use your fingers. You can finger pick. Before we get into those ways of extracting, let's look at a few more things that we're going to go on up here, and possibly by using the bar chord up the neck or even playing out of another chord form that are part of the bag of tricks or the next little batch of building blocks that you can use to keep your guitar playing from being the same thing all the time. The first one we'll look at is called the hammer. This is where you take a string that's open as you're either making a chord or not, and after the note has been struck, you push down to get a second note. You hear that rock thing? That's a hammer. It's a repeated hammer. Here's a very nice technique that's using a hammer. I'm going to make hit the E open, that's all the strings open, then come down and make a simple D7th chord, a B7th chord in this tuning. It's real simple. Normally a hammer will usually be done on one note. I'm going to make the A chord, but I'm going to hammer on my middle finger on the 5th string, 2nd fret, in the making of the chord. I'm going to start the chord with the index finger making the first half of the chord, and then hammer on. Now I'm going to hammer on the whole chord instead. Aye! Cajun. This is the Cajun riff. Hammering on. You can use it. Here's the ultimate hammering on, Earl Scruggs. That there. The hammer gives you 2 notes for the price of 1. One pick or one strum gives you 2 distinct tones. All right. Now the next technique that we can add to our bag of tricks, specifically or especially if we're playing in the 1st position. A lot of people play a lot out of this position. You can spend your life playing up here and never get everything you want. Is the slide. We take a chord or a note. Let's take a whole chord. I'm going to take the same little B 7th chord and slide it. Now I'm getting a 2nd set of notes for free. I could actually get, but I usually will hit it at some point. So let's do a hammer and a slide all in one little riff. There's an old abandoned shack alongside the river where my friends and I did sing. And when I left, they said bye. They'd be coming down to see me in the spring. The slide. There's one called the pull-off. Up until recently, it was illegal in the state of Arizona, but we do have a forward-thinking political. The pull-off's a little more subtle. I'd say use it when you can, use it when you want to. If we go back to that slide, you'll hear Earl Scruggs doing the slide constantly. Going up a Cripple Creek, going in the world, going up a... the pull-off's a little tricky. It'll be used in bluegrass or in banjo playing quite a bit. There's another one that is very useful. It's useful in the bar chord. It's used in all forms of music, jazz, country, western, especially bluegrass. When other people are playing, you want to set the rhythm and make some kind of melodious setting of that rhythm, and that's done with what's called the vamp. Let's take this same D chord, and after we make it, the guitar keeps going. Well, if a guy's singing, he don't want to hear this. He just wants to hear the F or the D when it's supposed to be played. So you're going to do this. You're going to vamp it or frame it or choke it. After you've made the chord, you'll bring your fingers up off, but leave them touching the strings. When you do it repeatedly, what you find yourself doing is pushing back down almost as soon as you've taken off. Again, let's use these chord forms and do the structure, a simple structure of a song by vamping and using this structure. Let's play E, A, and B, but with a vamp. Okay, here's D. 2 frets up from D is E. Okay, we're going to go E to A to B. To B. The E. The A. E, B, E. You could vamp this way. You could also add this up 5 chord that we talked about. This is used a lot. Note, planning the finger movement here. I'm playing it this way, and it works out pretty good that I can just slide it back there to do this. This finger's useless right now. That's the vamp. The next technique that is used constantly is the boom chick. This will pretty much end this segment. The boom chick is essential to basically all forms of music American. I'm a little out here. The boom chick basically is a function, got its name with bluegrass music. The bass plays the root note, and the mandolin responds with a rhythm chick of the whole root chord. The guitar, being poor and everything, if you want to play bluegrass with a one-man band, the guitar does both. That's the heart of the boom chick. Here's the boom, chick, boom, chick. So the bass will go da dum da dum da dum da, and the mandolin will, as the bass is going, the mandolin goes, the bass goes, the mandolin goes, the guitar player goes. Let's try this one. As far as building blocks goes, we've now combined the major chords of the first position, A, B, and E, with the real true boom chick. We have made it perfectly every time. Thank you, Open Tunings. Try this on a guitar. There are certain chords that'll drive you nuts. This works out this way because Open Tunings makes so much sense. All right, that pretty much will take care of the boom chick. With this chord here, you can use it all up and down the neck, and your pattern will be exactly the same, and it'll make sense. So we'll wind this up and move on to some other minor forms of strumming and get into finger picking. Well, we spent a lot of time up here with our fingers making chords and going up and down the neck, hammering and sliding and all like that. The other end of the instrument is down here. This is where the sound is produced, and we do that by picking these strings individually or as a group through various means. Regardless of the means that we're using, my message is that you have to extract the tone and the sound that comes out of the guitar. It's up to you. This is a machine, but it's not like a microwave. It doesn't produce notes by itself. It doesn't make heat by itself. You've got to participate in the cooking of this food here. The most basic style of extracting decent sound from a guitar will be using the fingers. We use the thumbnail of the index finger on the way down and the thumbnail of the opposable thumb on the way up. If it wasn't for this thumb, we could only play down. The basic strum being. Now again, we add some building blocks. We're going to change the chords of the first position, and we're playing the guitar at this point. Regardless of the method that you use, flat pick, finger picks, plain fingers, to some degree, people will play the guitar this way. If you're finger picking, then either the fingernail or the ball of the finger is going over the string. In most cases, the fingernail is going to finish it off. Regardless of what you're doing, it's in how fast you're playing, how many notes or lack of notes, every tone and every note is still extracted from the interface of whatever tool it is to the string, to the top of the guitar. A style that I use, I repair a lot of guitars. When I demo guitars, or when I even evaluate them, instead of playing with a single finger and a thumb, I use as many as all 4 nails, especially on the way down. Now I'm getting a much more percussive thing here because I'm hitting 4 strings at the same time and then going to the other 2. And on my way back, not only can I use my thumb, I can use these fingers. And the reason I can is called the angle of attack. When you're using a flat pick, your fingers, or even a finger pick or finger picks, and or the thumb pick. In this case, you would think that you would make these tones by having your fingernail pull on the string. Not true. Mandolin players use picks like 50-cent pieces. They have no points on them. They're extracting the tone. They're extracting each percussive movement. And my fingernails, the rounded part of my fingernail is going there at almost 180 degrees. It's tilted a little bit, maybe another 5 or 10. Okay, 25 degrees. But that allows them to go back and forth. And constantly, although it looks like I'm not doing much, I'm in exact control of how much they're brushing and the amount that I'm extracting. The next level, and here's another aspect or another way to get sound out. We're going to just hit the bass string. This is like a blues riff. We're going to pull up on our thumb. It'll buzz, that's okay. And then take 3 fingers, or 4 if you've got them, and pull some strings. So now I've got, I demoed in the beginning this little riff here. In this case, my fingernail is producing tones by actually hitting the string and letting go. Trimming of these nails will have some impact on that. Having them long enough to reach out over the fingertip will help. That's about it for just using the fingers. There is one more technique where you can finger pick the guitar without finger picks and either use a very definite roll or whatever you feel like doing. I have no plan. I'm just doing to my fingers what feels good right now. This is where the human interfaces with his instrument, and how you do it will be your style. There's a couple of more ways of extracting tone, namely the flat pick and finger picks. My book uses finger picks and then flat picks, so I'm going to proceed in the same way. So my next little piece will be using finger picks in an open E guitar.